Hello, my name is Gabriel, and today we are talking about episode 6 of the 4th season of Once Upon a Time Family Business. So, I like this episode. I think it gave us a lot to think about, and I like it when episodes do that. Let's think together, shall we? Yes, we shall. So, first thing I notice when the episode starts is Belle's mother, and I kind of go,
whoa,
because that is Rose from Mr. Selfridge. You've probably never heard of that show, but my mom really likes watching it, and once in a while I catch up with it. It's a pretty enjoyable show. It's great, actually. And so I kind of got surprised because there was a casting announcement for Belle's mom, but I had never heard of Mr. Selfridge before. When I in fact watched the show, I didn't make the connection, but now I did, and I like it when actors from a show are in another show and you go. Now, the episode starts, Belle's mother and Belle are staying behind, literally protecting books with their lives, and that really touched me because Belle's mom died essentially because she wanted to protect a set of books. She literally said, we can't leave them to those monsters, and I really think that that shows you how much of an impact books can have. She lost her life because of them, and it's something that I think everyone should respect, that books do impact some people, and us booktubers, it impacts us more. I really like that. I didn't like that she died. It was very sad, unfortunately. Yes, I really like that Belle went to get the first book that her mom ever read to her. I think that was such a sentimental scene. Yes. Now, when Belle finds out that her mother died, I feel extremely sorry for Belle because Belle is such a lovely character, and I cannot find another word to describe her. She's so lovely, and up until this point, I think that's all she's been. A lovely, very happy person, but this changes her, and this is kind of what happens besides her being Rumpelstiltskin's slave that really makes her such an exceptional female character and a really awesome female character because she fights and she voices her opinion. She is standing for the other woman in the show, and I really appreciate that. And so I think this event kind of shaped her to be not so lovely, and I really like that. I also really adore the fact that this was a Belle-centered episode, and this has been happening since Once Upon a Time started, but each episode is kind of dedicated to one character. I love that because in Lost it was the exact same thing. If you don't know, and you probably do, Lost and Once Upon a Time have the same writers. They decide to, one episode you focus on said characters alive in the modern world, and then the characters' lives, how they influence their decisions in the episode, their emotions, and I like that aspect of the episodes so much. In Lost we had a vast array of characters. I loved knowing more about them each episode. I also love knowing more about the Once Upon a Time characters each episode. They get better and better with each episode, and that is just awesome. It's kind of like each episode we get another piece of the puzzle, and in Lost we never really finish that puzzle. It's kind of like some blank pieces here and there, and there are so many blank pieces that you can't get the picture in your head. But in Once Upon a Time it's more certain and more solid, and I think by the end of the series we'll have a pretty clear picture of all of these wonderful stories. Mentioning the end of Once Upon a Time is literally very depressing because there will come a time when this amazing show ends, and that's gonna be very sad, like seriously sad. Now, her dad is being really mean to her. I mean, her mother just passed away, and her dad is yelling at her because she wants to know what happened. I mean, imagine your mother passing away and you didn't know what happened to her, and you were there with her while it happened, and not knowing, it would drive you insane. And her father is being really mean on that aspect, and like,
calm down, like, back away.
she is supposed to be grieving and she can't because she doesn't remember. Belle showed a map of Arendelle, and when I heard that she was going to Arendelle, I got really excited because when characters kind of crisscross, I guess you could say, it's such an interesting episode, and this happens a lot. So a lot of episodes are interesting. Now, in the other episode, I forgot to mention Captain Swan, but they are getting seriously cute. They are so well together. I've mentioned this before, and in last episode, at the end, Emma admitted to Hook that she wanted him to know her beginnings, and he wanted to know it as well. I think that's how it went. And this episode, they were like, not a lot happened between them, but that moment when they're like making eyes at each other is really very cute, and I really liked it, and I cannot wait to see where this relationship goes. I hope they stay together, but we never know. We have Graham as an example of that, so watch out. We learned that the Snow Queen has been following Emma for a while, and this really intrigued me, and I really wanted to know, and it is eventually revealed in the episode. I'll get to that in a moment. Another thing I noticed is that Belle was feeling very guilty because she wasn't telling Elsa what she knew about Anna, and I completely understand. If that happened to you, you wouldn't really know how to tell someone that. She eventually tells Elsa, and I really respect that. That's really what matters, actually. Now, there was a kind of Robin Hood, Regina moment, and it was so sad. I mean, it takes a lot to kind of interiorize that they might not end up being together. It was really sad when you kind of guessed in your head that eventually Regina will have to tell him for Marian to be saved. Robin Hood would have to stop loving Regina and start loving Marian again, and that is so sad because you can't forget someone like that. It's not possible. It's even harder when you have to fall in love, when you have to fall in love with someone else. It's a lot of pressure on Robin Hood. You can see Regina's pain when she had to admit it. It's so sad, and I really don't want them apart. Just Now, Rumple knows everyone. How does he know the Snow Queen? That is my main question here, because we have to assume from the beginning that Rumple knows everyone on the show. I really want to know what's the story behind the Snow Queen and Rumple. I'm not sure if it's going to be revealed because you kind of just assume Rumple has a past and a history with everyone, same as Regina. But in this case, Regina doesn't really know the Snow Queen, so yeah. Her name is Ingrid, so we finally know the Snow Queen's name. Yes. I really liked the story of Elsa and Anna's aunts. It answers a lot of things for us, and even more at the end of the episode. I'll go deeper into that in a bit. One thing I really want to mention is Belle's reflection scene. That was really hard for me to watch. Now, I read the original Snow Queen because my friend G really insisted on it, and I had been meaning to read it for a while, so I did, and I didn't 100% understand the story because of the writing style. I'm not really accustomed to such an in-depth English language, and so some of the things I really didn't get, but from my understanding, and don't quote me on this, the mirror turned what was ugly into something even uglier, and what was beautiful into something kind of distorted into its ugliness. So when Belle's reflection kind of came up, that was a very hard scene for me to watch. Belle's one of my favorite characters, and when she is confronted with her evilness, with her not so bright side, she kind of really changes, and that also impacts her. It was hard because she did make a mistake. You kind of understand where she came from when she did those things. Still on the Belle thing, because this is a Belle episode, one thing I really didn't like is that Rumple didn't tell her the truth. He had the perfect opportunity, and I'm not saying Belle wouldn't be mad. I think she would, and a lot actually, but he had the perfect opportunity to tell her the truth, and Belle said something like, I would never keep secrets from you because I know you wouldn't keep secrets from me. Why didn't you tell her, Rumple? It annoys me when people do that in relationships and shows, because just tell her already. I'm afraid that when she eventually finds out, because we have already come to the conclusion that Rumple probably isn't going to tell her voluntarily, so when Belle finds out, I think it's going to be a huge toll on her. She is going to be very depressed, and it's going to be a complete mess, because Belle is going to be heartbroken, and really heartbroken. It's going to be really, really sad, and it's Rumple's fault. Yeah, sorry about that. Now, the moment that Captain Hook pointed out that Emma looked just like Edgar, something like that, I'm sorry. When he pointed that out, I immediately knew that that was the replacement, that Ingrid. I immediately knew that Emma was the replacement in Ingrid's mind. Whoa, this woman is very complicated. And so they kind of went deeper into the matter, and they explored the thing more profoundly. They found out that, yes, indeed, Emma and Elsa are the Snow Queen's perfect family. And whoa.
Yes, indeed. Whoa.
Because up until now, I fairly liked this villain. And I do have to say it's a lot of favoritism because of Elizabeth Mitchell, but now that I know the reason why she's doing what she's doing, it kind of baffles me, because not having a family who accepts you is such a strong subject to talk about, and this shows how impacted a person can become when that happens. But this woman is a complete psychopath, okay? I don't have another word for it. It pains me because I was liking the Snow Queen, but now that I know her motive, it's honestly very grotesque. I really want to know what becomes of this perfect family, and kind of ruining everyone's lives in Storybrooke. I don't think she will do that, because other times villains have gotten away with what they wanted, but the Storybrooke characters kind of reverse it in a way. So I have to say, probably my favorite villain, like seriously a villain so far, is Zelena, because I really, really like that arc. The actress Rebecca Matter was also in Lost. She was very short-lived, but I really liked how a lot of Lost characters are in this show. But Zelena, I think I kind of got where she came from, while the Snow Queen is seriously out of her mind. So these are my thoughts. So yeah, I will now be watching the promo for the next episode. The episode is called The Snow Queen. Wow, I think I'm gonna like this one. Wow, like, whoa, like, I like this promo way better than the other ones, and that is a lot coming from me, really. Wow. So Emma imprisons Ingrid. Her powers are growing stronger, and yes, I like this. I like that the good guys are winning. Yes. This thing where the Snow Queen mentions a seed of doubt. Wow, that is very powerful, because she mentions that her family fears her, and Emma loses control, hurts David. Whoa, this episode is going to be epic. Yes. But does this affect the other episodes, or is just this one-time event where Emma loses control? Because if this is a permanent state, then we are in for a hell of a ride. So that was everything, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for more discussions on Once Upon a Time. Goodbye!